Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jovita Dominguez. I'm the Chair of Education and Licensing. And I have Dr. Marianne McCarthy that's going to help us. And I'd like to have roll call, please. Jovita present. And Vice President Mary Fagan.
Mary Fagan, I'm here.
Thank you. Susan Naranjo.
In here.
And Patricia Nguyen.
Nguyen present.
Thank you. We all have a quorum, and would board moderator please take us to public comment?
For public comment for items not on the agenda, correct?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. We will be opening for public comment now. I will be activating the question and answer feature. Please refer to the screen share for members of the public to see how they should type in their request for comment. I've activated the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate that they would like to make a comment by typing into the question box, "I would like to make a comment." Please remember, you will have 2 minutes to make your comments. I will not give reminders as your time approaches. I do not want to interrupt you nor cause you to lose your train of thought. I will mute your microphone and inform you that your time has expired, and we'll move on to the next member of the public. I'll pause for a moment for members of the public to type in, "I would like to make a comment." Christy Tarkleton would like to make a comment. 1 second, please. Go ahead, Ms. Tarkleton.
Go ahead.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, this is Dr. Christy Torkelson. I'm nursing faculty lead for the public health nursing program with Grand Canyon University in Phoenix, Arizona. Dr. Smith, our dean, and I are hoping to better understand the California program approval process a little better. Dr. Smith sent an application for review and approval for a public health nursing program back in December 2020, 15 months ago, and had follow-up emails throughout 2021. On January 14th of this year, Dr. Smith and I spoke with Ms. Melby to learn more about the status of our 2020 application. Ms. Melby requested that we resubmit, which we did on January 19th of this year. We are still waiting and would like to know when we can expect to hear on the status of our application, or thank you.
Thank you. Committee Chair Dominguez, there are no other public requests for comment. Would you like me to close the agenda?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Addressing public comment, I think I'm not sure that we'd be able to answer that here and now, but that's probably something that could be handled offline. Maybe Lori could make a note to touch bases with this person or have somebody do so.
Yeah, I do have that.
Thank you, Lori and Reza, for that. I would like to have somebody approve the minutes with me. Anybody would like to vote on the minutes?
The previous meeting minutes.
Okay, is that Tricia?
Yes, sorry, Jovita.
Oh, no problem. I'm recognizing your voice. Thank you. I appreciate that. And may I have Dr. Marianne McCarthy lead us, please?
Hi.
So
We
sorry.
need to do a we need to go to public.
we have a lot of feedback happening. So we need to clear up the feedback before we can move on.
So, Lori, are you saying public comment?
No, we need to clear up the feedback. We're not able to really hear people speak. So Jovita, can you test your mic so that we can see if it works? Our board moderator is talking about a lot of feedback.
Do you have
Um,
your two
Yes.
things
Do you
on?
have speakers on, Jovita?
I only have my laptop and that's the only speaker I have on.
Because when we speak, we're getting feedback from you. When I mute you, the feedback goes away.
Do you
Oh,
have
you-
headphones that you can wear, Jovita?
I can get some. I have it in my,
Try that.
yeah, I noticed that when we came back from lunch, it was like, it's like having a little seizure on my Google. So, give me a few minutes.
So we've already got a first and a second on the meeting minutes. We'll go out to public comment while you run and grab your headphones.
Thank you.
I think Tricia made the motion. Who did the second?
This is Mary, I'll second.
Thank you.
We will be opening for public comment. I will be activating the question and answer feature. Please refer to the screen share for members of the public to see how they should type in their request for comment. I've activated the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate that they would like to make a comment by typing into the question box, "I would like to make a comment." Please remember, you will have 2 minutes to make your comments. I will not give a reminder as your time approaches. I do not want to interrupt you nor cause you to lose your train of thought. I will mute your microphone and inform you that your time has expired and will move on to the next member of the public. I'll pause for a moment for members of the public to type in, "I would like to make a comment." Committee Chair Dominguez or BRNEO Melby, there are no public requests for comment. Should I close this window?
Yes, please. We will wait for people to join
Let's see.
in
How
order
do I
to.
do this? How do I put these on?
Shoot.
I don't know how to
Connect
work
them.
these. Yeah.
Do you know if they're charged?
Should I just do my phone? I know how to do it on my
I
phone.
have ones you can connect to the computer.
Okay, perfect.
Mary, while Jovita clears this up, do you want to lead and take the vote? Sure. Thank you.
We will take a vote on whether to approve the minutes. Mary Fagan, I vote yes.
Susan?
Susan, yes.
Tricia? Is that everybody?
It's majority.
Okay.
I'm with this so we could take it on 3, because even if Jovita said no, the motion would still pass. So we're able to pass this motion and move to the next agenda item.
What?
I'm back. Feel like a Martian, but I'm back. And do you guys hear me?
We do hear you. I'm going to have Dr. Mary Ann McCarthy speak and see if we get some feedback while you're unmuted, Jovita.
Thank you.
Everyone, Mary Ann McCarthy, Supervising Nursing Education Consultant and Liaison to the Education and Licensing Committee. I do have 2 corrections to the agenda prior to beginning.
As a, if I could interrupt briefly. First of all, I'm not hearing any feedback. So Jovita, whatever you did seems to have worked. And there were 3 votes in favor of approving the minutes. Do you want to just give us your vote on that as well?
Yes, I approve. Jovita approves.
Excellent. Thank you. Okay, Marianne.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Again, two corrections. The first one is under 8.6.1, and it's a typo. It says Rio Honda, but it should be Rio Hondo, Hondo College. And I apologize to Rio Hondo for the typo and want to make that correction. The second is agenda item 8.7.4, and this is American Career College. And as Ms. Melby had stated earlier, they were on the agenda. They weren't able to give us all the clarifying information we needed. It's easier to take people off than put them on. So they are going to move from here straight to the board meeting in May with, I think, 2 or 3 other programs that couldn't make the deadline because we moved the meeting up by a month. Chair Dominguez, is that okay with you?
Yes, that is fine with me.
Okay. Reza, is there anything else we need to do, or can we then just go on with those two corrections?
If you can do me a favor, Marianne, when we get to those agenda items, will you specifically call that out that we will not be presenting so that the meetings can reflect?
Yes,
Again, it doesn't get
absolutely.
missed. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, other than that, I think you're ready to go ahead with 8.3.
Okay, thank you very much. Agenda item 8.3, discussion and possible action regarding whether to recommend ratification of minor curriculum revisions, acknowledge receipt of program progress reports, and whether to recommend ratification of clinical facility approval or other action. Information on this agenda item can be found starting on page 4. And according to board policy, nursing education consultants may approve minor curriculum changes that do not significantly alter philosophy, objectives, or content. Approvals must be reported to the Education Licensing Committee and to the board. Minor curriculum revisions may include the following categories: curriculum changes, work study programs, preceptor programs, and public health nurse certificate programs. A list of schools who have submitted minor curriculum revisions, clinical agency or facility approvals, and program progress reports that have been approved by the nursing education consultants are in your materials packet in tables with corresponding names. This is a consent agenda item. Thank you.
Do we take it to public comment?
You have to take
First, we have to have a motion. And if you see, the motions are on the slide now, the possible motions.
Thank you, Marianne.
Absolutely.
I would like to send the motion to recommend ratification of minor curriculum revisions, clinical agencies, or faculty approvals, and acknowledge receipts of program progress reports. Do I have a second? Thank you, Tricia. BRN
Wait,
yes.
1 second. You said faculty approvals, and this is facility approvals.
Oh,
are you making motion
sorry.
to accept the facility approvals as well?
Facility approval, sorry. Yes. And BRN moderator, would you please take us to public comment?
Public comment now. I will be activating the question and answer feature. Please refer to the screen share for members of the public to see how they should type in their request for comment. I've activated, oops, sorry. There it is. I've activated the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate that they would like to make a comment by typing into the question box, I would like to make a comment. Please remember, you will have 2 minutes to make your comments. I will not give a reminder as your time approaches. I do not want to interrupt you nor cause you to lose your train of thought. I will mute your microphone and inform you that your time has expired, and we'll move on to the next member of the public. I'll pause for a moment for members of the public to type in, I would like to make a comment. Committee Chair Dominguez, there are no public requests for comment. Would you like me to close this window?
Yes, please. Thank you. So I would like to take it for a vote. Jovita votes yes. Vice President Mary Fagan,
Mary Fagan, yes.
Susan Aranjo,
Susan, yes.
and Trisha Wynn.
Tricia, yes.
Thank you. Mary Ann?
Thank you so much. Agenda item 8.4, discussion and possible action regarding whether to recommend approval, acceptance, or other action for approved nursing programs. There's two sections under here. The first section includes 8.4.1 through 8.4.6, and this is continuing approval of pre-licensure nursing programs, and this is a consent agenda item. And the second is 8.4.7, which is pre-licensure nursing program unit adjustment or other change. It's a substantive change, but no enrollment increase. So the BRN staff, and by the way, this can be found starting on page 18 of your packet. The BRN staff have received and reviewed all documentations for the requests in agenda item 8.4. Information on these requests is on the list provided in your materials packet. These programs have met all board rules and regulations related to these requests and are consent agenda items. Thank you.
And for a quick point of clarification, the motions on review will be for 8.4.1 through 8.4.6, and there will be a separate motion for 8.4.7, and those are duly noted on the PowerPoint.
Yeah, thank you, Lori. I move to accept. Do I have a second? Oh, sorry. I need to do the motion. I'm so sorry. I skipped a step. Motion to recommend approval, acceptance for other actions for approval, pre-licensure nursing programs. Do I have a second?
Tricia seconds.
Thank you, Trisha. BRN,
Before we go out to public comment, you can make the motion for 8.4.7. So if we want to advance that, you can do that. And then we can
oh,
go
thank you,
to
Lori.
same.
Yes, I'd like
Okay.
that. Marianne, do you have something to help us with this one?
It's on the slide in front of you, on the very bottom.
Okay, and that motion would be a motion to recommend approval of substantive, I'm so sorry, substantive change request regarding pre-licensure nursing program unit adjustment and other changes for 8.4.7. Do I have a second?
So real quick on that one, that needs to be corrected. On that possible motion, it says recommend approval of substantive change request regarding pre-licensure nursing program. And this is an advanced, this is a entry. So never mind, that's fine. Sorry about all of this. I know that this is a new process. And I know that it's getting cumbersome trying to manage through this. So your motion was fine, Jovita. Thank you.
Thank you, Lori. It's making it easier, but in the way I'm having to adapt, and I appreciate the patience.
Tricia seconds.
Thank you, Trisha. BRN moderator, would you take us to public comment, please?
We will be opening for public comment now. I will be activating the question and answer feature. Please refer to the screen share for members of the public to see how they should type in the request for comment. I've activated the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate they would like to make a comment by typing into the question box, I would like to make a comment. Please remember, you will have 2 minutes to make your comments. I will not give a reminder as your time approaches. I do not want to interrupt you nor cause you to lose your train of thought. I will mute your microphone and inform you that your time has expired, and we'll move on to the next member of the public. I'll pause for a moment for members of the public to type in, I would like to make a comment. Shane Rugenberg would like to make a comment. 1 second, please. Oh, I'm sorry. Shauna Rugenberg. Go ahead, Ms. Rugenberg.
wanted to say thank you to Katie Dougherty and appreciate the motion to approve. I'm from Betty Irene Moore School of Nursing.
Thank you. Committee Chair Dominguez, there are no other public requests for comment. Would you like me to close this window?
Yes, please. So now we go to, let's see, I believe 8.5, or is this 8.
Public comment, so let's take a vote.
We'll take a vote. Thank you, Marianne. I Jovita votes yes. Vice President Mary Fagan,
Mary Fagan, yes.
Susan Naranjo, Trisha Wynn.
Tricia, yes.
Thank you. Next one, please.
Agenda item 8.5. Discussion and possible action regarding acceptance of program progress report, with discussion and possible action to address any performance gaps, including actions described in California Code of Regulations, Title 16, Section 1423.2, Subdivision A for East Los Angeles College Associate Degree Nursing Program. The information provided in your materials starts on page 28. And board moderator, if you could please elevate the presenter for ELAC. ELAC is on morning status, and they're submitting their progress report, which is required at each meeting. The board paused enrollment in the fall of 2021 due to their status, and then they came back in November and got approval to restart their enrollment of 30 students in January of 22. So their semester started February 7th, and they are now in that process with, after pausing for a semester, being back together. Updates, the Nclex pass rate is still below 75. One faculty position remains open and applications are being accepted. The second faculty position is under review for posting, and the lab position remains open. So they have 2 remaining non-compliances. And the first one, of course, is the Nclex pass rates. And if you look in your materials, again, they start around page 28. You'll see all the 10 years of Nclex pass rates and the first 2 quarters that are posted so far for this year. Their annual rate for 2021 was 64.84. They also have insufficient resources as far as faculty and staff because of these continued open positions. And I asked the program specifically to put in a hiring update specific to each of these positions, and you will see that also in your materials. They're telling me that the program director is not here at this time, which is fine. I'll be happy to do my best to answer any questions you may have.
Does any board members have any questions?
Tricia has a question. Thanks, Dr. McCarthy. Could you please remind me what you hope to see in the Nclex, percentage? This does seem very low.
Yeah, it is very low, and they've had a history of problems. So what my hope is, and what I'm expecting is they have now, as of 2020, they brought in consultants and redid their curriculum and got everybody up to speed and on task. They are rolling out that curriculum, and this May, they will be graduating the first students to have gone through that new curriculum from start to finish. So my hope is, they've also put tons and tons of resources in place for student support. So I think that is going to make a big difference too. It just takes a while to get, as I spoke of, get them through the curriculum so we can start seeing the results of the new curriculum, the added support services, those kind of things.
But it does just seem, though, that their most recent rate was their lowest rate in 10 years.
Yes, yes. Well, let's see, in 12 and 13, they were at 62. So this time they were at 60. In 2021, they were at 64. So
well, I was looking at 2021, 2022, and second quarter is 54.
Yes, yes. And we look at, that's the second quarter. They have 2 more quarters, and we look at an annual
Okay, okay,
percentage. That when we say less than 75%, we only look at the annual. Now,
Okay.
we as nursing education consultants, we keep our pulse on the quarterlies as well, to work with them and make sure that programs aren't slipping down. But my hope is that by the end of the year, they will be able to come up.
so if you could just describe to me, so, what is the natural progression? I mean, let's just say, and I'm an optimist by nature, so I'm really kind of thinking worst case, well, what if they don't come up and they've put in resources and they have, a 10-year track record of really substandard performance? I mean, what is kind of the end game for the BRN?
Right. Well, for at this point, and this is, I think, the 3rd time, they're on warning status with intent to close. So the board is able to
Okay.
close a program that is not supporting, is not able to produce successful students. Has never happened in my time, but that's, I mean, it is a possibility. We do like to give every chance and give, as consultants, we try to work with them very closely to try to help them get, because they do serve a important population.
I
Thank
agree
you.
with Mary Ann. I really have high hopes that they can get out of this situation. It's just going to look a little ugly for a little bit, but my hopes are, Trish, that it gets better.
And Tricia,
Thank
Mary
you.
Ann can share that they had multiple non-compliances and they're down to just 2 now.
Yes, that's
so
true.
Mary
They
Ann-
had 6 when I made the visit with, actually made it with EO Melby in 2019 when this first all started, and they had, they did have 6 areas of noncompliance, and so they have made loads of progress as far as that goes. I do have to say that Nclex pass rates are probably the hardest thing to make a quick fix for. And the other problem that we're having, and I think you'll realize that we've seen that now with a lot of programs, especially from the LACCD office, that group of 7 programs, they're having trouble. They're having trouble supporting and expediting the quick hiring of faculty and staff. The
Mhm.
process is intensive as far as length goes, and it also is very difficult for them to get priority because they get thrown into the pool with all the rest of the, and so that leads for more and more problems when you don't have resources. You don't have the full-time faculty and the full-time staff to support. And there's not really anything that the program can do because it's based on the district itself and their rules and their timelines. So we do encourage as much as possible to have those programs, their administrators, do everything possible to make it a priority and to move nursing up. Because quite honestly, all of our programs in California, even though nursing is an expensive program, nursing also fills many, many, many seats in science and English and all the other areas. And there's always more nursing students applying for seats than there are seats available. And those students usually continue on and, continue at the school or go into another major and transfer to a university. So there is revenue to be lost if you don't support your sciences and GE courses. Does
Thank
that
you.
help, Tricia?
Yes, very much. Thank you.
And Tricia, just to interject here, this was part of the discussion when we were talking about AB 2637 in the board meeting about having to have those faculty resources, BRN faculty approval, where as part of the meeting, I believe Mary Ann at some point or myself had asked where they are in priority. And that's because as the board, we are able to approve faculty and ensure that they have resources now. So having that pulled away from AB 2637 really is of detriment to the community colleges that may not have the resources similar to the other schools that would be able to pay additional wages or anything like that for their faculty. And when it goes into a pool that is collected within the entire campus, the entire college or university, they don't tend to seek or tend to gain priority hiring. And so it'll be 2 to 5 years before they can get a single faculty person in by the time their turn comes around. So being able to, as a board, say, you need to have faculty, you need to have your resources, and we need you to have priority hiring, that really is a benefit to the community colleges.
Thank you.
Any other board member have questions? So I move to a motion to recommend acceptance of program progress report. Do I have a second? Thank you, Mary. BRN moderator, would you take us to public comment, please?
We will be opening for public comment now. I will be activating the question and answer feature. Please refer to the screen share for members of the public to see how they should type in their request for comment. I've activated the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate that they would like to make a comment by typing into the question box, "I would like to make a comment." Please remember, you will have 2 minutes to make your comments. I will not give a reminder as your time approaches. I do not want to interrupt you nor cause you to lose your train of thought. I will mute your microphone and inform you that your time has expired, and we'll move on to the next member of the public. I'll pause for a moment for members of the public to type in, "I would like to make a comment." Kathy Hughes would like to make a comment. 1 second, please. Go ahead, Ms. Hughes.
With SEIU Nurse Alliance of California. I have a quick question. You may not be able to answer questions, but I think I missed when we were talking about the cohort of students that would have participated in all of the new curriculum and all of the program changes, when that cohort is expected to graduate and take Nclex. I missed that. Thanks.
Thank you.
Reza, is it okay for me to answer that?
Answer that if you'd like.
Yeah, they should be graduating this spring. In the, the end of the semester, May, June cohort. Thank you.
Great. Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
There are no other public requests for a comment. Would you like me to close this window?
Yes, please. And I'd like to take it to a vote. I, Jovita Dominguez, votes yes. Vice President Mary Fagan? Susan Naranjo?
Susan, yes.
Trisha Wynn? Thank you.
Thanks,
Next.
everyone. Thanks, Jovita. Agenda item 8.6, discussion and possible action regarding whether to recommend continuing approval or other action for an approved pre-licensure nursing program. 8.6.1, Rio Hondo Associate Degree Nursing Program. So this is the one that EO Melby wanted me to make sure that this is the correction in the spelling. So instead of Honda, as in the car, it's Hondo with an O at the end. Okay. So Rio Hondo, their information starts in your packet on page 38, if you want to look at that up. And board moderator, if you could please elevate the presenters on the list for Rio Hondo. So Rio Hondo had a regularly scheduled continuing approval visit, and they had 3 areas of noncompliance. The first area was 1424D, which is the program shall have sufficient resources. 1424E, which is the director and the assistant director should have sufficient time to administrate the program. And then 1424H, in that faculty should be adequate in type, and they need to have at least 1 qualified instructor in each of the specialty areas who is the content expert. The nursing education consultant is Donna Ship, and her and the representatives from Rio Hondo are available for any questions you may have. Thank you.
Does any board members have questions for them?
And this is Marianne again. I see the motion is to recommend approval. They have non-compliances, and anytime we have non-compliances, a motion to recommend approval or reapproval is not an option. They cannot be reapproved. They don't lose their approval, but they do have to work to correct those things before. So as we have done in previous meetings, the recommendation would have to be to defer action. You know, I think what we've done recently is defer action, progress reports to the NEC, and they're going to return whenever they either clear it up or it's going to go one way or the other, right? It's either going to clear up and get better, or they're going to come back with continuing problems.
And I support that. So do we make that motion to defer and have them once their 4 non-compliances get improved, then they come in to the board and let us know?
So Hovisha, before you make the motion, just to explain this again. On the PowerPoint, it's a possible motion. It is not a motion that directs the board in any way to do anything. So all of the possible motions that are on this PowerPoint would be a motion to accept or approve. That is the example motion. It was decided to not do a denial motion or a deferring motion as an example, so that it did not look like we were leading our board members to any decisions. So even though Marianne is 100% correct and you would update this, that comes from the discussion that occurs right now. And it will not be reflected on screen or slides going forward. So this is a possible motion. If the board chose to make this motion, that would be to approve it. But Marianne is 100% correct that there are deficiencies and non-compliances. And because there's non-compliances, the board cannot take an approval position.
We just don't make a motion? We just let this?
No, you have to make a motion. The motion just not would be recommend to approve. It would be, I think what we did, but in the most recent past was defer action with progress reports to the NEC quarterly and return in 1 year. That's an example.
Yeah, so,
that is not an absolute motion. That's an example.
Yeah. I'll add some clarification, Tricia. You're correct in a way. And so when you make a motion to defer action, you are essentially not making any motion. So that defer action is on the continuing approval aspect. The additional requirements, which would be a motion to do quarterly reports or a motion for them to return to the board in a year, is separate. And so when a board action letter goes out from the NEC, and it's actually Dr. Mary McCarthy that does that, on the motion, it'll have 2 lines. And on the board action, it'll say defer action on a continuing approval. And then the second line will say board motion for quarterly reports and for return to committee in a year, whatever it is that the board decides. So you're deferring action, making no motion really on the continuing approval part. That would normally be if all of the areas in our regulation and statutory requirements were met, would be to continue approval. But we're making no motion on that, giving them time to correct those. Because sometimes when they go in front of our Edge License Committee or our board committee, they have only had a month or 2 to address anything, and sometimes you need longer. And so that would do that. And then in order to ensure that we can kind of keep an eye on that, that is why people would then discuss options about having them report back, whether it's through progress reports or whether it's through just coming back in front of the board. It does not have to be a standardized process. I know that the last couple ones that Marianne talked about, there were quarterly progress reports and coming back in a year, but that does not have to be the standard. It could be what our board decides.
Thank you. So what would be a fair, I'm just deferring to you, Marianne, what would be a fair reporting back schedule?
I'll defer this question to Lori Melby.
Oh, Lori, okay.
Thank you. So truly it depends on what the area non-compliances are. And so if the area of non-compliance shows an immediate threat to the public, you would say my board action would be to put them on warning with intent to remove program approval. You could also, if it's showing that it is egregious or an imminent threat, you can also say that we would not allow for an additional enrollment, that you would stop enrollments. That would be like the ultimate thing, is your warning status with intent to remove program approval, no further enrollments. And that is something that our board could do. Other than that, we can go get some different ideas out there. Some of them, and again, this might be where you review the agenda item summary of the report of findings in the materials, and it says there's some staffing issues, and we know that staffing takes a long time to fix. It might be Nclex issue. We know that sometimes when it's an Nclex issue, it takes at least 2 years to address. Then we know that you're not going to see a lot of changes on Nclex, so you might do an annual report. If it's staffing issues and we think that they're going to be able to get those filled pretty soon, you might do quarterly reports and then return in a year. So really it is 100% dependent on what the issues are that have been identified by the NEC.
Are sufficient resources, the director and the assistant director not having sufficient time, and that they don't have they don't have adequate type and number of faculty, and have content experts, which is required for the specialty areas.
And since there is program representation and the NEC assigned to the school here, this would be a really prime opportunity to ask questions of them about how long do you think it will take to hire these positions? What do you have for resources to offer to be able to ensure that you will have content experts and you'll have people assigned. And so this is really where the program director, any school representation, and the NEC would be appropriate to ask any of these questions to, so that you guys
they have been elevated. They have been elevated. So Catherine Page and Catherine Brandt are both available, as well as Donna Ship. Would you like to pose some questions to them?
I'd like to hear from them just their overview of what they're doing in response to these areas of non-compliance and when they think they'll be in compliance.
Okay, thank you. Catherine?
Hello, which Catherine would you like to hear from?
Well, I think probably the program director, please. Catherine Page.
That would be me. Hello, I'm Catherine
Hi.
Page. Thank you for asking for our input. We had several areas of non-compliance, and we have actually addressed most of them and are in progress to have the rest of them addressed by July 1st, or yes, July 1st. So the first area of non-compliance was having 2 open faculty positions. We have filled one of them, and the other, that faculty person will be onboarded July 1st. She was unable to join us this spring because she had another teaching assignment at another college. We also had an open clerk position, and that position has since been filled. We have done the background checks, and we are negotiating with her current employer as to when she can begin with us. The second non-compliance was the allotment of time for the director and the assistant director. We are upscaling the amount of time that the assistant director has to help the director from 30% to 50% with grant funding, and that grant funding starts July 1st. The non-compliance with knowledge related to the program from the assistant director was primarily because a majority of our documents were in hard copy. and we are slowly moving to electronic copy of all of our documents, and we are almost completely there. We are trialing some applications for our CNA program, which are electronic, and if that goes well this spring, then that's what we will be using next fall for our ADN program. As far as non-compliance with having content experts, I was not made aware of that non-compliance. We have had and do have content experts in all the required areas. Gerontology, we have one. OB, we have one. Peds, we have one. Psych, we have one. And Med-Surg, we have two. Were there any other questions?
So
Thank you very much.
based on that, Catherine, when do you think you'll be in full compliance?
July 1 is when we anticipate having everything in place once we get that second faculty person onboarded. I think that will be the last piece that will fall into place.
So maybe we could ask for a report back in 6 months. Would that be fair?
I think that would be lovely.
Well, so I'm going to move that we defer action on this approval, and we ask for a report back in 6 months from Rio Hondo Associate Nursing Program.
And I would like to second that, Jovita.
Verifications, if they do clear all non-compliances by July, as they stated, they can be brought back forth to the next board and receive a full approval vote. They do not have to wait 6 months.
Oh,
It's
good.
only if they have not cleared it, you would want a report back in 6 months to get some update on that.
Good, thank you.
May we take it to public comment, BRN moderator?
Public comment now. I will be activating the question and answer feature. Please refer to the screen share for members of the public to see how they should type in their request for comment. I've activated the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate that they would like to make a comment by typing into the question box, "I would like to make a comment." Please remember, you will have 2 minutes to make your comments. I will not give a reminder as your time approaches. I do not want to interrupt you nor cause you to lose your train of thought. I will mute your microphone and inform you that your time has expired, and we'll move on to the next member of the public. I'll pause for a moment for members of the public to type in, "I would like to make a comment." Committee Chair Dominguez, there are no public requests for comment. Would you like me to close this window?
Yes, thank you. So I'd like to take it for a vote. I, Jovita Dominguez, votes yes. Vice President Mary Fagan,
Mary Fagan, yes.
Susan Naranjo, Trisha Nguyen.
Tricia, yes.
Thank you, and I appreciate the help, Trisha. Next,
Agenda item 8.6.2, discussion and possible action regarding whether to recommend continuing approval or other action for an approved pre-licensure nursing program. Carrington College Associate Degree Nursing Program. This program was scheduled for a regular continuing approval visit, but they also have had 2 years of Nclex pass rates below 75, so that if they weren't having a continuing approval visit anyway, we would be visiting them because of 2 years of below 75. So again, the information about this program starts on page 44 of your packet. And board moderator, if you could please elevate the presenters on the list for Carrington College. So Carrington had a regular continuing visit, and it was combined with the evaluation for the 2 years of less than 75 first-time Nclex pass rates. In 2019-2020, the pass rate was 71.7, and in 2020-2021, it was 73.02. With the approval visit, they had 2 areas of noncompliance, and one was, of course, the Nclex pass rates, and the other one was related to their total program evaluation. Katie Doherty is their nursing education consultant and made the visit, and the representatives are also here to speak to the program and answer any questions. Sharon, are you available?
Marion, or can you talk more to?
I'm available. This is Dr.
Thank
Sharon
you.
Parkman. I'm the program director.
I wanted to understand more about what the non-compliance regarding total program evaluation. Can you give me more specifics about that?
Sure. Programs are required to constantly be evaluating their programs. And so when we go for a visit, we ask for a total program evaluation of what they have looked at for the past 5 years. And it mostly focuses on, admission, retention, graduation, Nclex pass rates. We're looking at how they monitor that and make changes based on the data they receive.
Okay, yeah, Dr. Parkman, can you talk to us about why that wasn't available?
It wasn't that it was unavailable. We have been inconsistent in data. Before I came in July 2019, there had been 3 program directors in the past 2 years. So I've been here since July 1st of 2019 and have been collecting more regular data. And we have now put together, I gave to our NEC, Katie Doherty, a matrix for our program evaluation, total program evaluation, and we are collecting data on student participation, student satisfaction, board scores, attrition, and retention. And for the past 2 years, we have had, except for one term when we did not admit students because of COVID and so many students being kind of backed up from their graduation, we've had 100% retention and 0% attrition. Our board scores, we also started the complete comprehensive package from ATI, and our first graduates with that complete package was July of 2021, and that was reflected in our increase in our Nclex scores. Our last 2 quarters for Nclex have been 81 and 85%. We have now got 80% student participation in our student satisfaction, and on a Likert scale of 1 to 5, we're 4.2 for student satisfaction. Did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. Any other questions?
Is this, Marianne, is this a similar situation to the last where we can't recommend approval because there still are non-compliance?
Correct.
Okay.
But just remember, they don't lose their approval. They don't lose their approval. We're just deferring action. That's all. As they have
Additionally,
time
when
to
you
come
look-
back into compliance.
Yeah, and then additionally, when you look at our agenda and the way that it's set up, any continuing approval visit that finds them in complete compliance or find them in non-compliance, but they're able to clear up all of the non-compliances prior to coming forward to committee, they go through as consent agenda items. And so all of them automatically, based on your guys' vote, go through as a continuing approval on a consent agenda item. So any school that is brought forth for you guys as a present, or that they are here and we do an agenda item summary with report of findings that you find in your materials package, that means they cannot automatically get a continuing approval. That it is something for the board to vote on after they discuss, ask questions, and decide the best route. So if they are here and Marianne is talking about them in detail, and you have an agenda item summary with a report of findings, and that report of findings is key because that report of findings document that's in your board material, in your committee material, states all of the areas on a single sheet that they did not have compliance with regulations or statutes for our pre-licensure nursing programs. So hopefully that will help to delineate which schools have been reviewed that received full compliance. They go through as a consent agenda item earlier on and are put on a table in your materials. And these one here that have more information we shared, that is because there has been some issues that were discovered on the continuing approval visit, and that the NECs are working in consultation with to get them back into compliance so that they can, in a future board meeting, receive a full compliance continuing approval vote.
And just so you know, Mary, if you look back to 8.4, all those colleges listed, Butte, College of Marin, Los Angeles Pierce, Los Angeles Valley, Pasadena, and Ventura College, those also had continuing approval visits in this time frame to make it to this meeting. And those were the ones that had no issues, no non-compliances. So they went through as a consent. So the ones that we bring to you are ones that have problems that they need to work on.
So Marianne, is it safe? This is Jovita. Was it safe to say if we can, the motion would be to defer 8.6.2?
Defer action, yes.
Defer action.
Mm-hmm.
So the motion to defer action on 8.6.2, and do I have a second?
Second, but I'm wondering if we should ask them to report back like we did on the last one, report back in 6 months.
I believe Lori said.
Is in a progress report to the NEC or to come back? What were you thinking?
Well, I was thinking just to see if they're in compliance.
Tricia, I think that they would put it on the agenda if it needed further action. But
Okay.
if they comply, that the NECs can just put them,
Okay, that's fair. Yes, I will second your motion, Jovita.
Let me
No
try to
problem.
clarify that really quick. I think that that's not specifically clear. The NECs will bring them back forward if everything is cleared up. That's when the NEC will bring them back forward automatically. If you want a progress report, if you want them to return to the board at any point that they have not cleared stuff up, then that is what goes in that second part of your motion, where you request a progress note, the frequency of it, and if or when you want them to return back to the board to have a check-in. So what I was referring to is if they clear everything up, if there is no areas of non-compliance, then the NEC brings them back forward so you can take an action on it as part of just a routine process. But if the board wants specific report outs, you have to add that in your motion.
Tricia, are you fine with the motion that you second, or we can rephrase it?
I guess I just have one quick question then back to the program director. Do you think you'll be in compliance in 6 months?
We should be in compliance come July 1st with, because our ATI scores are still high.
Okay.
And so the hope is that by the July 1st at the end of this year, we will be in compliance with the below 75. And I'm already working on the total program evaluation.
So
But if
thank
I
you.
need to
I'm
report
sorry
back,
to
that's
interject,
fine.
but we won't get the final NCLEX pass rates for the year until October. So they may be able to have 3 solid quarters, but it's usually in September. I think it's September. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but the fourth quarter is later is after July 1st.
So July 1st is when they end the reporting session. We get that report out from Pearson View. We get that information, we send it out to the schools review that for any corrections, and then it comes back to us. We finalize that report and it is put into the data bank around August or September. And if there is any schools that are less than 75, they are notified in the October timeframe. So Marianne is correct with the timeline. And we will not know whether or not they're in full compliance and above 75% until the fall.
So I guess I would say, Jovita, I'm comfortable with your shorter motion, and I'm still willing to second that. And I know that if they're not in compliance come October, we'll be seeing Marianne present on this again. Is that right?
So no, that's not correct. So let me try to clarify a little bit more.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. You're learning, and this is perfect opportunity to not only give you some follow-up, but to give our public as well. We do continuing approval visits. On those continuing approval visits, if they're accredited, if they're ASIN, CCN, or CCNE or NLN, they follow that accreditation schedule, which could be 5 years, 8 years, or 10 years. That's when we send them back. If on those reviews, we find an area of noncompliance, we bring it forward in front of our board for discussion like today. If nothing is done, you defer action on the approval. If you want reports, if you want follow-up, you have to make an action for that. You have to say, I need a report in 6 months if you haven't been cleared up. The only time the NEC will bring them back to the board once you defer action is to get a follow-up action because there was no action made on the continuing approval status, knowing that that continuing approval status can occur when they're in full compliance again. So that is when the NEC would bring it back. If for some reason they are not in compliance and they're not in compliance based on a reason that was previously brought to you, unless something changes, the NEC doesn't have that on their own ability to bring them back because we've already brought them in front of them. We may on an annual basis say, you know, we haven't heard much from this school. We need to bring them back. We've given them time. I'm going to bring them back to do a progress report, check in with them to the board. Now, this is separate from what the NEC does on their day-to-day. The NEC, because they're not only a regulator, but they are a consultant, they're working with them every single day. So the NEC assigned to this program knows where they're at, knows what's going on, knows the progress that they're making to clear it up. And they are assisting that program director 100% along the way. If they have to have conversations with the dean or the vice president or the president, they are. If they have to meet with the chancellor's office, they do. If they have to meet with union representation to go through job descriptions and stuff because it's not clear, and one of our regulations says that the assistant director must be able to assume the responsibility of the program director in the absence of the program director. If that's not in the job description, then that needs to be added. So they'll work with the union to get that added. So the NECs are very hands-on with assisting that program to stay in compliance. So they're doing the work. It's not saying it's not doing the work, but they wouldn't bring them back automatically if it's already been brought forth in front of the board, unless the board says, I want you to come back and give this update. With ELAC, the earlier school, they have them come back 8 times a year. So 8 out of 12 months, ELAC is in front of the board in some way, either through a board committee or a board meeting where they're reporting back because, as you identified, they had large areas of non-compliance and a very low pass rate. Schools that this is a first time that we see them, this is not a track record. You might say return to the board in 1 year. You might say get progress note in 6 months, return to the board in 1 year. completely up to the board, but you have to give that action on what you want that school to do to follow up until they are in compliance.
Thank you. Well, I do think that we should ask Carrington College to come back at some point, and I think maybe 9 months or 12 months would be appropriate. So unless somebody has a strong feeling, I will say 9 months. So again, just Jovita, maybe to restate your motion, it's to defer action and ask Carrington College to come back in 9 months to, tell us about their compliance.
I can second that.
Okay.
Is that fine, Marianne?
That's absolutely fine if that's what you guys want to do. So what I'm understanding is you want to defer action and ask Carrington to come back in 9 months to the Education Licensing Committee and the board.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. So then, BRN moderator, would you take us to public comment?
Public comment now. I will be activating the question and answer feature. Please refer to the screen share for members of the public to see how they should type in their request for comment. I've activated the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate that they would like to make a comment by typing into the question box, "I would like to make a comment." Please remember, you will have 2 minutes to make your comments. I will not give a reminder as your time approaches. I do not want to interrupt you nor cause you to lose your train of thought. I will mute your microphone and inform you that your time has expired, and we'll move on to the next member of the public. I'll pause for a moment for members of the public to type in, "I would like to make a comment." George Carrillo would like to make a comment. 1 second, please. Go ahead, Mr. Carrillo. Go ahead, sir. Mr. Carrillo, are you there? Committee Chair Dominguez, it appears Mr. Carrillo cannot unmute himself, although it shows that he's unmuted. I can see your typing, sir. Are you not able to speak? No, sir, we cannot hear you. You're unmuted. Committee Chair Dominguez, Mr. Carrillo has said go ahead and pass him over. We'll try to come back to him at another time. Other than that, there are no other public requests for comment. Would you like me to close this window?
Yes, please.
Thank
I'd like to, thank you. I would like to take it for a vote. Jovita Dominguez votes yes. Vice President Mary Fagan? Susan Aranjo?
Susan Aranjo, yes.
Trisha Wynn?
Yes.
Thank you. Marianne?
Thank you so much. Agenda item 8.7 discussion and possible action regarding acceptance of a substantive change to an approved program. 8.7.1 is the College of the Siskiyous Associate Degree Nursing Program. This is a program closure. Information about College of the Siskiyous can be found at your packet on page 56. And board moderator, would you please elevate the presenters on the list for the College of the Siskiyous? This program is requesting a closure. They paused instruction for the last 2 academic years so that they would have sufficient time to try to fill faculty and staff positions that became vacant. They've been unable to find needed faculty and support staff to resume program enrollment and instruction. Therefore, they will close the program effective June 1st, 2022. Since they have had no enrollment for 2 years, there's no teach out plan. Everyone is through the program. They have submitted the required plan and information to maintain graduate records and things that they need to do moving forward. The NEC is Katie Doherty, and the program representatives are available for questions.
Does any board members have questions for this motion 8.7.1?
I don't have any
Hallie
questions.
copy is from the program. Hallie, are you able to, and did you have a question, Mary? I'm so sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say I don't really have a question, but just it's sad to see a program close like this for lack of ability to get faculty, especially with such a great Nclex pass rate and low attrition. So it would be great if there was, I know someplace in here it said they're hoping to be able to potentially come back if they're able to fill those faculty vacancies, which I would love to see if it can happen.
This is Tricia. I totally agree with Mary. This is very sad, and in an area of our state that could really use a program like this. It's hard to see, but completely understand how hard it is to recruit faculty. So best wishes.
Hallie, did you want to say anything? Or Haley? Maybe I'm saying it wrong. I apologize if I'm saying it wrong.
Hi, I'm Hallie. You were saying it correct. Yeah, I just want to thank everyone. I want to start by saying I'm really proud of the program that we have here. I was faculty for 8 years before I became program director. This has been incredibly difficult. We just have not been able to recruit faculty, simulation technician, even part-time faculty. It's been an incredibly stressful 2 years. I stepped in as program director to really be hopeful that we could save the program, but unfortunately this is where we're at. And I want to thank Katie Doherty for all of her time helping us through the years with this.
Thanks, Hallie.
I'm so sorry, Hallie. It's hard everywhere, but you really took a hit, and it's sad to see.
So did we have a motion yet?
So this is Jovita. I motion to accept the substantive change of program closure to an approved program. Do I have a second?
Tricia seconds.
Thank you. BRN moderator, would you take us to public comment?
The comment now. I will be activating the question and answer feature. Please refer to the screen share for members of the public to see how they should type in their request for comment. I've activated the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate that they would like to make a comment by typing into the question box, "I would like to make a comment." Please remember, you will have 2 minutes to make your comments. I will not give a reminder as your time approaches. I do not want to interrupt you nor cause you to lose your train of thought. I will mute your microphone and inform you that your time has expired, and we'll move on to the next member of the public. I'll pause for a moment for members of the public to type in, "I would like to make a comment." Committee Chair Dominguez, there are no public requests for comment. Would you like me to close this window?
Yes, please. I'd like to take it to a vote. Jovita Dominguez votes yes. Vice President Mary Fagan,
Mary Fagan, yes.
Susan Naranjo, Trisha Wynn.
Tricia Wynn, yes.
Thank you. Mary Ann?
Agenda item 8.7.2, discussion and possible action regarding acceptance of a substantive change to an approved program. San Diego State University Baccalaureate Degree Nursing Program, addition of a new campus or location. Information regarding this program can be found starting on page 60 in your packet. And board moderator, could you please elevate the presenters on the list for San Diego State? San Diego State University is requesting a substantive change to add a BSN pre-licensure program at their Brawley campus in Imperial Valley. Their current enrollment pattern is 160 students annually. They're requesting an enrollment increase of an additional 40 students every fall. This will make a total of 200 students between both campuses. So they'll keep their 160 and they'll add 40 students at the new site. Regional forecasts, as far as data goes, which we've talked about before, depends on the area and the region. There's shortages in some areas, surplus in others, with the Inland Empire and the southern border regions pretty much well balanced. This area, the program data does not match up with the data that we see as far as workforce goes. However, the NEC, who is Donna Ship, and representatives from the program are available for your questions. Thank you.
Anybody, any board member have questions for the school?
A question from Mary Ann, and thank you for your presentation. So you said that the information that you have here at the BRN is in conflict with the forecasting that we're being presented. Do you see that from time to time, and how does that happen?
Well, yes, we see it all the time. I'm sure you understand data, meaning that you can find data and you can look at it in different ways, right? And so we are trying to, what we've been tasked to do is the program will have their data to support their enrollment increase, and then we do data just to make an even playing field. Do we find the same thing? And if we do, we say yes, we find exactly the same thing. If we find anything in our data that leads to us to say that no, it's not exactly, and there's many data resources. So basically that's what we're saying, that they're with the stuff we get from our contract with UC, UC, is it UC San Francisco? Yes, I think. We look at that data and just to make sure that you see both sides. If we agree, we say, okay, we see the same thing.
Yeah.
So for instance, last time I think we talked about some programs in the Central Valley, Bakersfield area. And, we agreed because there's definite shortage across, that's the same. In other places, it's not always exactly the same. It goes both ways. And this is one of the ones where there is data on both sides.
But do you believe, just based on the data that you have seen, that this increased enrollment maybe is a little too aggressive?
I'm not their NEC, so I am going to ask Donna Ship if she can speak to what she found in data. It is on your AIS, the data that she, and we put the links in there so you guys can look at that, but that's exactly where we put those on there so that you can see the data that we're pulling from.
Thank you.
Donna, do you have anything to add?
Very much. Donna Ship, nursing education consultant assigned to San Diego State University.
Donna, you're going to have to speak up a little bit or get closer to your mic.
Okay. The data that I used is from the UCSF report, which I did hyperlink in your AIS for you, so it could take you to that information. And it is dated 2000, 2019, the Regional Nursing Summit, and then the new CSF Supply and Demand is the 2019 as well. I don't have a date listed here, but I do have Karen McCauley, who is the current program director, who might be able to state when the report that she quoted in here from the Department of Healthcare Access and Information, formerly the Office of Statewide Health Planning and Development. And so we can kind of look at that as far as recency goes, but I will let her address how current those reports are. But the ones that I quoted are both from 2019.
Karen, can you, are you available?
You hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Hi, welcome.
Thank you. I'm Karen McCauley. I'm the School of Nursing Director at San Diego State University. As you know, we have a campus in Calexico and Brawley where we run an RN to BSN program. So in collaboration with Imperial Valley Community College. So we would like to, or asking to propose to add a pre-licensure program as the data that I received was from formerly the Office of Statewide Health Planning and Development, and I believe it was in 2020. So since your prior data, which was in 2019, the COVID pandemic has really hit Imperial Valley and Imperial County really severely, especially with nurses where they are having to use several nurse travel companies and state facilities to fill their institutions. Now, even though the surge is lessened, there still have, I just spoke to the CEO from Pioneers. He has 48 contracts of a travel nurse from travel nurse companies. So after speaking with both Dr. Edwards at El Centro Regional Medical Center and Pioneers, they're both really asking us to come in and offer a freshman entry and a transfer entry program to help IVC, and we're working with IVC, so we don't displace any of their clinical placements, and providing another option for freshmen to go into a pre-licensure program.
Executive Officer, I do have some questions here. Is IVC the only other school that's located in that area?
Yes.
For nursing, for pre-licensure nursing?
Yes.
And what are the acute care hospitals in that area?
Pioneers Hospital and El Centro Regional Medical Center.
And is the other college utilizing that? Are they having any difficulties finding clinical placements? Are you guys having difficulties finding clinical placements from your RN to BSN program that is there?
No, we currently do not have any problems getting clinical placements. And in fact, they are holding placements for us. Especially during the summers, they've asked us because IVC does not hold clinical placements over summers. So we would accommodate and hold summer semesters.
Would you also do the winter intercession, or do they use clinical sites during that point too?
Yes, we would do, no, we would not be using winter intercession.
So
We'll
only
have fall,
summer
spring, and
intercession?
summer. Correct.
So the other school does a fall and spring. You would do a fall, summer, and spring, leaving the hospital a semester off essentially to normalize and not have students there.
I'm not clear on how many semesters IVC uses. All I know that depending on the specialty, we would be in those for the first 2 years after at a transfer. They would enter right into the nursing program, whereas the freshmen the first year would be their GE requirements.
Okay. And on the materials in the committee materials, it shows that El Centro does have OB, MedSurg, Jerry, Psych Mental Health, and Peds, but Pioneers does not have Psych Mental Health, but they have the other specialty areas. Is that correct?
We have also affiliation with Jackson House, which is an inpatient facility in El Centro now. It just opened, which is owned by API. So we already have affiliation agreements with API, also here in San Diego, if the students needed to have those clinical hours in those areas.
Okay, and you're asking for 40 students once a year. So that would be 4 clinical groups if the place took clinical groups of 10. Are the peds and OB and the psych mental facilities, do they have a census that can support that many students coming in and getting experiences? I mean, so do you know how much their peds beds are licensed for, their OB beds are licensed for, and do they have adequate patient census to support the clinical groups, or will you be using alternative rotations and such to get them through those clinical rotations?
We have secured learning agreements and BR and approval of multiple different sites, including the prisons. We're working with the Migrant Detention Center. We're working with several different institutions within the area that are really trying to develop a pipeline of nurses. So,
yeah, I hear that. What I think the biggest concern is the OB and PED slots. That's where we're hearing from a majority of programs is they can get med surge, geriatric experiences. They can get psych mental health through like outpatient, but truly finding some difficulty getting OB or PEDS placements. And it looks like there really is minimal OB and minimal PEDS. And so we're just wondering if you had a plan around that to be able to get clinical experiences for the students that would enter those specialty areas, and how those would be addressed. Because I know in that location, with only having the 2 hospitals, and that's typically where you would get an OB and PEDS, that would be kind of where you would run into those issues. And then I did see also another great thing in here that has the Imperial County Office of Education for PEDS. And so it looks like you are moving in the right direction for school nursing.
Right.
And so these are just really conversations that I've been having as well with workforce, just kind of going through. And so just wanted to bring that up and have that kind of conversation started here so that we can see how the schools are addressing that.
Yes, we are looking for as many alternative sites that we can also for those, but then we can also control the amount of students that are in actually the nursing program to limit the clinical placements. So if we bring in, a certain amount of freshmen, they're just starting their first year with GE. They're not going straight into the nursing program. So we can control the amount of clinical placements as needed.
So would that then mean like 20 people would go into freshman and 20 people would get an advanced placement, and that's how you would equal your 40 enrollment? Or can you clarify that a little bit more for me?
Yes, I think we'll be based on enrollment, just like here in San Diego. So we take a certain percentage of transfer students because we have made a commitment to the ADN program, or to the ADN, the associate schools, to bring in students through that avenue. And then we also bring in freshmen.
Matriculation, is that what you're talking about, where you get the RN to BSN, or are they just getting their prerequisites and then entering the pre-licensure nursing program with you?
They're just getting their prerequisites done, and then they go into the BSN program. So that's what's happening in Imperial Valley also, because there's many students bottlenecked through IVC that are unable to get into the nursing program, but have all the prereqs. So, just so you know, in San Diego here, we have 7,000 applications for 160 spots.
Yeah.
And so we take in around 40 transfer students and 120 freshman entry. So in that, depending on enrollment, we'll have to see what type of enrollment mix we get in Imperial Valley that we can, take freshmen or take transfer students.
And then some of the conversations that I've been having with the Workforce Development Initiative, they're talking about maybe alternative pathways in. So like your LVN to RN, are you doing anything to address the LVN to RN population for advanced placement or consideration, knowing that some LVN and RN, LVN to RN step-ups give credit for OB and PEDS based on their LVN education, and then would not need those difficult to find clinical spots?
Yes. So, yeah, I can comment on that. I've been working with the program director at IVC, Danny, and he is opening an LVN to ADN program now. So we're working with him to have a streamline where those LVNs to ADNs can come into our RN to BSN program also. So we haven't really focused on looking at an LVN entry yet, but that's something that we can kind of help with IVC to get them to the BSN level. Does that answer your question?
It does. It does. These are great conversations, and thank you for taking the time to answer them. These are some of the concerns that have kind of been voiced with in these various meetings that I've been attending. So it's interesting to see how the individual schools of nursing are addressing that. It looks like you guys are addressing that. Thank you.
Yes, we've also received a service learning agreement with Clínicas de Salud and some of the outpatient pediatric sites too for students to float through there, and the as you said, with the city, the schools district. So.
Dad, how much I appreciated that conversation between Lori and Karen. It was very educational to me. So thank you.
I have a question, Karen. Hi. Are you expecting the students? This is Mary Fagan. Are you expecting the students in the Imperial Valley to stay in Imperial Valley? Is that
So thanks for this question, Dr. Fagan. Really, what our partners, community partners in Imperial Valley are asking for is to grow their own. So we really want to recruit from the zip codes around Imperial County. So that really is going to be our philosophy, is to limit enrollment to the zip codes around the area, to grow their own nurses. And I think they're seeing such high turnover rates and the use of travel nurses that they really need to have someone who's going to stay there. What they've seen is nurses go out there, get 1 year of acute care experience and leave. So I think going in this direction with any other workforce initiative in Imperial Valley, that has been successful for them. And then looking at, different occupations also that eventually we can start to offer out there, being a very large college of health and human services.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic.
And you guys have been very successful at the RN to BSN out there. So that's really great news. Thank you. My only one last question is, I know that a lot of times people will come from Imperial Valley to San Diego to do clinical rotations. Is that something that you're planning on, sharing your clinical sites within San Diego State University that's located in San Diego, versus just keeping the clinical sites in IVC and having your students that are in IVC only attending those? Or are you planning on a clinical share? And if so, how do you plan to work with that? Would you decrease the amount of students at the San Diego campus if you had to have IVC students come across? Because there is a huge amount of clinical impaction in the San Diego area. So just wanted to make sure that those are kept separate, or if they are not kept separate, what your plan is to handle that internally so that we don't see an increase of students entering into the San Diego area based on a nearby potential enrollment increase approval in IBC.
Right. No, I really appreciate that question, Loretta. And I do feel the impaction in San Diego. However, our goal is to have every clinical hour in Imperial Valley. This is what our clinical partners out there want. And I've been to Board of Supervisor meetings. We've been all over, just seeing the, community involvement of launching this program. and everyone has come out of the woodwork, including the prisons and, saying, how is it that we can support you? So yes, our goal is to have 100% of the clinical hours in Imperial Valley.
And Marianne, when you were looking at the workforce data and the comparison of the two reports, the OSHPD report compared to the UCSF, is San Diego and Imperial County looked at together in that report, or are they separate?
I'm going to refer to Donna Ship because she is the nursing education consultant who did the data comparison.
And let me just quickly look and see. I believe Imperial Valley was included with San Diego.
And that's, to me, that's probably why it showed that there wasn't a need in Imperial Valley, because it included San Diego. But if you looked at Imperial Valley by itself, I pretty much guarantee there'd be significant need.
Yeah, it looks like it's referenced as Southern Border, and then within there is San Diego and Imperial.
Yes, I looked at the same data and did realize that San Diego is included in that. So the OSHPD, which is now the Department of Healthcare Access and Information, actually has indicated that Imperial County, El Centro, and Calexico are critical and severe registered nurse shortage areas.
Correct, and the board has identified that as well. And we've updated the UCSF contract to go down to a more regional data so that the future reports will be able to separate that out. So thank you for that.
Questions from the other members?
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the substantive changes, the addition of the new campus location for the approved San Diego State program.
Thank you.
Okay. Perfect. May we, BRN moderator, may we take it to public comment?
We will be opening for public comment now. I will be activating the question and answer feature. Please refer to the screen share for members of the public to see how they should type in their request for comment. I've activated the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate that they would like to make a comment by typing into the question box, "I would like to make a comment." Please remember, you will have 2 minutes to make your comments. I will not give a reminder as your time approaches. I do not want to interrupt you nor cause you to lose your train of thought. I will mute your microphone and inform you that your time has expired, and we'll move on to the next member of the public. I'll pause for a moment for members of the public to type in they would like to make a comment. Kathy Hughes would like to make a comment. 1 second, please. Go ahead.
Thanks. Kathy Hughes, registered nurse with the Nurse Alliance of SEIU California, and I am a San Diego area graduate from way back in the day, and I do remember a lot of my fellow new grads commuting to Brawley and living to Brawley for 6 months to a year and then moving back to the San Diego area. So I'm really excited to see the San Diego State program looking at zip codes from the area and accepting students from the area and really improving the nursing practice in that area so that the nurses continue to live there and practice there indefinitely. That's a great idea, and I'm really appreciative of it.
Thank you. Committee Chair Dominguez, there are no other public requests for comment. Would you like me to close this window?
Yes, thank you. I would like to take it to a vote. I, Jovita, vote yes. Vice President Mary Fagan?
Mary Fagan, yes.
Susan Aranjo? And Tricia Nguyen?
Tricia, yes.
Thank you.
Agenda item 8.7.3, discussion and possible action regarding the acceptance of a substantive change to an approved nursing program. This is for Marcia First School of Nursing, Associate Degree Nursing Program, add the addition of a new campus or a location. Information about this program can be found starting on page 66 of your packet. And board moderator, if you could elevate the presenters for Marcia First, I would really appreciate it. The Marcia First School of Nursing Associate Degree Program is requesting an additional site in West Covina, California. This program, Martha First School of Nursing, was previously known as Glendale Career College, and their initial approval of the Glendale campus was in 2016. In February of 2019, they were approved to take on the Brightwood College students in a teach-out when Brightwood closed. And then in September of 2019, they received an approval for an additional campus in San Diego. In April of 2021, they were approved for an additional campus in Bakersfield. And today, they're requesting an additional campus in West Covina. Regional reports are the same for this one. In some areas, it's low. Some areas, it's balanced. In some areas, it's a surplus. This is considered, I think, in the Los Angeles area. So there's conflicting data as far as Los Angeles being super saturated, and then little pockets of places. So what we found, again, did not match up exactly with what the program has. Donna Ship, she drew the lucky straw this month, and she also is the program director for this, or not the program director, she's the NEC for this school. And she's available along with the program director and the owner for any questions that you might have. Gloria, are you available?
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you.
I'm here.
Do any members have questions?
You know, ask the program, the School of Nursing, to address, you know, maybe some of the concerns about, you know, whether we're creating too many spaces in a program. I mean, I've read the report and it, you know, it seems straightforward, but I would just love hearing from the program on that.
Sure. Hi, Tricia. How are you? It's Dr. Blatty. Nice to talk with you. Yeah, we have looked at that. This really has come to us based on a relationship that we have with Eminent Hospital, a long-standing relationship that, and I'm sure Mitchell would like to address that at some point, that they really are having an extreme shortage of nurses. It came up because during the whole COVID epidemic, we worked with the hospitals, all three of their hospitals, very closely. And we worked in their ICUs throughout the entire COVID, taking care of COVID patients. So we were really very involved through that whole thing. I think many of this started to stem from that. They were very excited about our nursing staff. They loved our clinical educators, and they really liked the students. So we started to talk about it. As you know, or probably, I don't know if you do know, but they have the school started in that area, West Covina. That's where the Northwest College, which is the other name for all his other schools over there. But that's where they started, in West Covina. He has 4 standing buildings there, everything's set up to go. It just seemed like a very logical thing to do for them because they had so many shortages in that area. I don't know why people are not working in West Covina, but they're not. And so we said we could do it. We have had a very successful time with Adventus Health. They are now just hiring our last 15 students. So working with them throughout, putting them throughout all of the rotations at the one, or this would be 3 hospitals, but the one hospital, like we've done at Adventus Health, has been very successful. Oh, I didn't know it was going to be as successful as it's been, but the students feel a sense of ownership when they're graduating, become graduate nurses. The hospital has decreased their orientation to like 2 weeks or to 4 weeks for some if they're going into a specialty area. So I think we have something good maybe going here, and I would like to share it. And we do work with our community colleges. I've been part of that group for 15 years now, and we do work with them. So I'm trying something
Gloria,
new.
this is Marianne. Can you remind me what your enrollment patterns are at each of your campuses?
Yes, it's
Thank
all
you
the
so
same.
much.
Thank
Yes, I
you,
thought
Mary.
so.
Yeah, it's all the same. It's 45 3 times a year. As you know, we start out with 2 semesters of general ed, and that has, and again, I work with the community colleges with that. A lot of our students are coming from the community colleges. They do a lot of their GEs right there. The reason why they're coming to me, not that they want to spend more money, it's that they've been waiting for a very long time to get into the community colleges. And yesterday, I did the admission committee. I had at least 25 applications that these were 3.5, 4.0 students that have been waiting. I think if they would have gotten into the community college, they would have went. But I offered them something else at the table. That was all.
So
Yeah.
this program in West Covina would also have 45 students 3 times a year?
Yeah, I just thought it's easy to keep it that way because when you start to change the numbers around, it gets really hard to schedule the classes. So
Right. I just want to make sure I have it right in my documents. Thanks.
you're welcome. I hope that answered. If not, I'm more than happy to answer anymore.
That was helpful to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Tricia.
Lori, the executive officer, and I do have some questions very similar to some of the ones that we just asked of San Diego State University as well. And what are the hospitals that are in the location of the West Covina proposal?
Yeah, they're the 3 of them. There's Foothill Hospital, there's Queen of the Valley, and Internet Community. Yeah. And those are the 3.
Within those, do they have adequate census for pediatrics and OB? Do you know what those are?
Yes, you know, it's interesting, Lori, because OB has not been an issue for us. I don't know why it hasn't been an issue, but it has not been an issue for us. I have plenty of OB sites. Pediatrics, you know, because it's ADN, continues to always be a challenge. But now we added the RN to BSN on the back end of this so that I would have more sites available to me. I mean, I'm a children's hospital person. I ran a children's hospital for almost 30 years. So I really, I feel bad that they don't get in to see these kind of exciting things we do in children's hospital. So, but it was because of the baccalaureate we were kept out. We now have tried to co-enroll in San Diego. Bakersfield didn't start nursing yet, and we are co-enrolled here at Glendale. So we're trying some new and I think innovative things right now to try to see if we can meet the needs and what's going on. So OB is not a challenge for me for some reason. Neither is psych. And I do have really good faculty for that. And then on PEDS, we are using LA Star. We have a few places that we use for that. I would like to see that if we can put them into that co-enrollment, I would get them into hopefully one of the children's places around. I want them to see what we do in those hospitals. Nobody wants to go into pediatrics, nobody.
So the peds are not going to be done in those 3 hospitals that you talked about.
No, they have a pediatric ER in one of them, but it's a very small ER, so we'll be able to do some rotation through it. But we're going to mostly look at LA Star. That will be the one that we'll work closely with.
And where is LA Star located at?
They have multiple.
Comparison to that.
And they have multiple offices around. One is by St. Francis. There's another one out by them, and I forget the name of the place, but they have multiple. It's run by here it is, Lawndale. No, I don't know where exactly that is, but Lawndale.
The 3 hospitals that you noted in your report that you guys would be using and partnering with to do this, they do have an OB unit, and they have, do you know what the census is on each one of those OB units? And what the licensed bed is?
Well, they're taking, Queen of the Valley is the one that has the biggest that I know of there. Nikki Chumi is our lead on that. And the census, you know, it varies, as you know. Sometimes they only take 2 or 3 students at a time. So we rise to the occasion and get them to wherever we have to do. Or we bunch up their clinicals a little bit in that OB when they're doing their theory so that we could rotate more students. Yvonne Narajo is our clinical coordinator. I've been with her 13 years, and she's very good at getting the placements done the proper way. So.
And then with the hospitals, since you're kind of answering their call, are you giving them any tuition breaks or anything?
Yeah, we didn't get that far yet with them.
Grants or anything?
Yeah, you know, that is very interesting because we do give that tuition break to Adventist Health. We said they could have it, but they've been so busy working because of this whole COVID thing. They never took advantage of it. The people that work there. you know, the hospital gave them a $5,000 bonus. We gave another 5,000 if they were one of our graduates. And we've had very few people do it because they're working so much.
So
So
you
it
partnered with the facility to
give a
do this and provide
scholarship.
this, and they're not actually taking advantage of it.
Not
So you're
too much yet.
enrolling the community people. Is that?
Yes, that's correct. And my own graduates out of here that may not be going to there. So it's sort of maybe once this whole thing slows down and everything gets back to normal for people, we'll see more people interested. And we changed the tuition for the whole program now. We lowered it to only $7,500, which I think is a good deal. We're CCNE accredited, which I think is a good deal. And we have it all online, that part, except for 2 clinicals. I think it's a great deal, but nobody seems to be so interested in going to school right now. So I think that will change in the future, but
And
not
then
yet.
how close are your clinical facilities, the hospitals and stuff that you mentioned, to the Central Valley area, the Pomona, Ontario, Rancho Cucamonga area?
But it's just a bad question for me. I don't know if Mitchell's on. I still know where LA is. I know where Studio City is, about 30-mile radius, I would believe.
So it is relatively close because I know that our board actually approved a large number of student placements in that area to kind of fill that need just this last year. And I know that there's some bachelor's programs going in there, associate degree programs, enrollment increases, all into that Ontario kind of upland, Ontario, Pomona, Corona, Moreno Valley, Riverside kind of area. And so do you have any idea how you would be affecting those clinical placements of the programs that were just approved last year to start, or enrollment increases?
Right now, the only school that we really are involved with is Mount Sac, who we work with at that hospital. That's who I've been aware of. I guess maybe it's a good idea to maybe open it for Mitchell, or we also have the president of the hospitals on also to make a public comment. He can speak probably more to that with the area, but I think.
Hi, Gloria. Hi, Dr. Blotti. Hello, Loretta, and members of the committee. Mitchell here, Mitchell First, the president of the Marcia First School of Nursing. Yeah, there's several of the other programs that you're noting, Loretta, are in the Inland Empire. And so this is, certainly a different, geographic area. But to answer some specifics about, say, the census of the OB unit, or some of the other demand at this hospital that we're in partnership with, we're glad to have Rob Curry, who's the CEO of this health system, and Roger Sharma, who's the president of the health system, available for the moderator to elevate during the public comment period. Or perhaps you'd like to elevate them now to ask them some specific questions for this innovative program.
Yeah, either way is absolutely appropriate. I think my concern is that when this is kind of brought up, it's about a 30-minute, 40-minute drive from Covina to the Inland Empire area. So depending on what those approved schools that were just approved this last year need, I'm just concerned about the effect, because what I got from the background report for the executive summary from you guys is that you guys were using the 3 hospitals, and then in discussion here it's 3 hospitals, but then additional placements for this and additional placements for that. And so I think it would just be really important for our board to be able to understand what your potential is to have an impact on the communities that basically overlap with this area, and schools that would potentially overlap with this area, and what your plans are to address.
Thank you so much.
Mitchell, this is Mary Ann. Could you please tell me again the name of the person who's from the hospital so that we can elevate them?
Yes, I believe they're logged in under Roger Sharma, who's the president of Emanate Health.
Roger Sharma. Okay,
Roger
we'll look
Sharma.
for him.
And
We'll
also,
look for him while you're talking. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Ann. And Loretta, also, Gloria mentioned some of our other pediatric sites, but they have an incredibly large NICU and a very large OB, department there at Emanate at Queen of the Valley with like 350 deliveries a month. So I believe that we're going to be able to accomplish everything, all of the rotations for this special program in partnership with Emanate Health at the Emanate Health hospitals, with the exception of the psych rotation. So everything else will be able to be accomplished in those
and peds, because NICU doesn't count for peds.
Right.
But they also have a pediatric unit as well.
They also
have a pediatric unit as well.
Are we still unmuted? This is Rob Curry.
Muted?
Yes, you're unmuted.
Okay, thank you. I heard her background. Again, just to introduce, I've been here for 14 years. We continue to grow. To clarify a few of the questions so far, we do have a 24-bed pediatric unit. We do have a pediatric dedicated ER within our Queen of the Valley campus, which is the most proximate to the Marcia First School of Nursing. It is a very busy ER. We see about 80,000 patients there. 35 to 40% are indeed children. So we do have an active PEDS program in both the ED and in the inpatient. In addition to that, we have about 4,000 births in our labor and delivery, or what we call our family birth and newborn center, which houses a 40-bed level 3 NICU, and very, very active program. From a history perspective, we have worked with these wonderful partners and neighbors at the school at Northwest University. We have accommodated many students, whether they're in farm tech or scrub tech, LVN. We have found them to be bright, to be motivated. We have found the faculty to be very dedicated and very much a partner and an assistant as we work together. So we are very encouraged that we could have more nurses available in this market. I will tell you, from a patient flow as well as an employee flow, we do not see much at all coming from Inland Empire. Ontario can be up to an hour and a half away, depending on the traffic on Interstate 10. We just don't see cross migration with that area. We will, however, see a dearth of nurses here in this part of Los Angeles County. During the pandemic, it was demonstrated clearly as we had about 150 traveler nurses here just to fill our program and to meet the needs of our population. So I would just conclude by saying this would be a very important niche program for us to have in such close proximity, to work in a partnership again, to have these wonderful potential students doing their program here at in clinicals here at all 3 of our campuses, and we just welcome it with open arms. I am on the California Hospital Association board, and I know we just had a conversation that they are predicting in the next 3 to 5 years we will lose about 30% of the clinicians that are currently in hospitals. So we're going to need additionally new trained replacement, and hopefully then people that will stay in the area and continue our legacy of 100+ years of providing care. So with that, I'll turn to Roger.
Yeah, I will make brief comments. I would like to address the question about Inland Empire. So it's very strange. We are not able to get either patients or future employees from anybody east of 57 freeway. Even Pomona seems too far because there are hospitals in that area. And Rancho Cucamonga on 210 is about an hour and 40 minutes drive. So our draw for future students or employees is primarily Chino Hills, Walnut, West Covina, Covina, Glendora, Azusa, and Baldwin Park. Most of our employees live here. Just to give you the scale of the 3 hospitals, we have a census of about 375 a day. We are now constantly expanding service area of almost 900,000 citizens and people who live in our service area, rapidly aging to the extent that in next 7 years, the number of people who are going to be 65 plus will increase by 27%. As a result, we are adding a lot of programs. We just added a comprehensive stroke program. We are a STEMI receiving center. We have a very fast expanding outpatient footprint. We are tripling the size of our ED at Queen, the primary training site for the students. We are a 22-bed ED. We are going to be building a 60-bed ED. So the reason I'm sharing it is that these hospitals, between 3 of them, which are within 6 miles of each other and about 4 miles from the school, will be an excellent training site, a very comprehensive training site for the student, and a major employer of these students because we employ close to 110 nurses a year. Our total nursing strength is about 1,500 nurses, which is probably going to rise to 1,700 in about 2 to 3 years based on the program that we are adding. We are building a 30,000 square foot cancer center. So our need for nursing and physicians is rapidly rising. We are collaborating with the Marcia School of Nursing for nursing feeder programs. And we are also hiring about 100 physicians. We are targeting to hire in about the next 4 years. And we are already at 55 physicians. So you can imagine the rapid expansion that is taking place at the healthcare system. And we will have captive demand for the nurses that are going to be trained at this school. And knowing the track record of this school with the quality nursing that they're providing, they did a special program for us for OR nurses, and it has been a lifesaver for us for the last 2 years. So we are very confident we will continue to get good program. And we
Thank
do
you.
have
Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
Appreciate it. Jovita, would you like to?
Jovita, would you like to?
Mr. Sharma, can you put yourself on mute, please? We're getting a lot of feedback.
We're getting a lot of feedback.
Thank you. Jovita, would you like to make a motion, please?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to accept the substantive change addition of the new campus location to an approved program. Do I have a second?
This is Mary. Yes, I'll second.
Okay, thank you. BRN moderator, would you take us to public comment? Thank you.
Public comment now. I will be activating the question and answer feature. Please refer to the screen share for members of the public to see how they should type in their request for comment. I've activated the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate that they would like to make a comment by typing into the question box, "I would like to make a comment." Please remember you will have 2 minutes to make your comments. I will not give a reminder as your time approaches. I do not want to interrupt you nor cause you to lose your train of thought. I will mute your microphone and inform you that your time has expired, and we'll move on to the next member of the public. I'll pause for a moment for members of the public to type in, "I would like to make a comment." Committee Chair Dominguez, there are no public requests for comment. Would you like me to close this window?
Yes, thank you. I'd like to take it to a vote. I hope Jovita votes yes. Vice President Mary Fagan?
Mary, yes.
Susan Naranjo? Tricia Nguyen.
Tricia, yes.
Thank you.
Just a reminder that agenda item 8.7.4 American Career College is going to move to the May board meeting for their presentation, along with a few other colleges that couldn't make the deadline when they when we moved it up. So we're to agenda item 8.8, Jovita.
Thank you. So this takes us to adjournment.